All right, so there's a lot going on in the neighborhood today, so you might hear some background noise. I wanted to do an update here. This is again is for myself to make sure I know where I'm going with this VR6 removal. It's got a lot going on here, so I'm going to try and explain a little bit about what I'm doing. Lots of vacuum lines. I've tried to label everything that I can. This one goes down to the bottom down here. There's a few others that I've pulled off and labeled for, like here, this little guy here. All the wires I've been trying to label as well, and as I've been going along, I've found a few that are broken off. Here's the blue one coming from the alternator, and I found the other end of it here in the harness. So I'm going to have to extend that back out. This is out to the alternator, and I wrote down here blue to alternator. Yellow goes to this oil sensor that's right back up here. And I'm going to probably redo that yellow wire too, just looking at it's been chewed a little bit itself. So, but I think that's all that's going over there. I noticed this little port, but I don't think I've ever taken anything off of that. This goes to the alternator, but that's pretty standard. I'm gonna have to work on these things next. Alternator, compressor, power steering unit down there is the very next one, just to get them out of my way, because this hose is pretty stiff, and so I don't even know where I can kind of bend that off to. I don't want to bend it. I'm trying to keep everything with the compressor all together. Other wires that I've kind of labeled because I don't want to misplace where they're going is like this little grouping. So you've got like multiple things going into the head here. This one was fine, but I want to say it was the one going up to the top had another broken wire. I don't know if it was chewed. It probably was chewed wire. And then this one goes into here. Self-explanatory, but all these ones are into different plugs. So I've got like top of head, so that one goes up here, and then I think this one says front of head. They're getting kind of dirty, so I got to make sure I keep them clean enough that I can see what I'm doing. These ones go up above here for the intake manifold. The hoses also I've been kind of labeling, but I'm going to try not to take some of them off, but I think I'm going to have to take them off eventually. I'm trying to keep them in line of where they go. That one looks like it's transmission cooler. Whew. Oh, this piece here was a vacuum line that goes to here. I've got that piece off. I'm gonna have to like maybe try and repair it or something. I don't want to have to buy that vacuum line. The other thing that I noticed when I got in here too is, I got all the coil packs out and they all seemed okay. All of them were original except for one that was new, and you can tell because they're dated on the coil packs of the date that they're manufactured, and one was very, very clean. So let me see what else I pulled off of here that I could show you. We gotta pull the wires off of the transmission. This is the one that plugs into this port here, and you can see that this has some bends in it and stuff, so I'm gonna have to kind of either try to repair that or replace that part once I get the transmission off. Here's our starter. There's some parts that there's some wires that I got to pull off of there. And then across the back here, so across the back there's some cables, some wires that go all the way over and then down the front to there. So we're gonna have to pull that off. So kind of next steps is drain fluids, pull off a couple of these extracurricular pieces here, and then make sure I get in to the wires that are back in here that I need to pull off. Remove the axles from the transaxle, and then the axle on this side as well, which I've heard is kind of a difficult one. And then I need to find a couple hoist points to be able to hoist this with. So, or if maybe I'm just gonna use a jack and jack it up and pull it out. Hard to say. I'm going to talk to a friend of mine, Robert Christie, and see. He's pulled a few of these motors out, and I don't know if he's pulled one out of a EuroVan, but they all kind of roll together with all the other Volkswagens as well. So I do want to thank you for joining me. Again, this is more for some of my purposes of seeing where everything's at. So before I pull this motor out, I kind of know where I'm putting things back at. So I thank you for following along, and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. I already yesterday I sent one of my short videos to somebody because they were asking about vacuum lines, so hopefully that helped them a little bit as well. So thanks again. Okay, I came back. I had a little bit of time. I figured might as well get under here, do a little bit of oil drain. So it's back here. It's kind of interesting. I went with 17 millimeter, went with 19 millimeter. Neither 19 kind of fit, but not really. 18 didn't really fit either. I ended up with a 3/4 inch on this. I don't know if it's supposed to be 18 and my 18 just isn't a good fit, but anyway, we went with 3/4. So we're gonna drain this oil out, see how it is. Hopefully it's just oil and there's not water in there. Sorry for the little bit of noise we have going. I've got somebody doing a roof in the neighborhood. Come on, oil. Now this is a long oil. Drain that. There it comes. Yeah, looks like oil. Not a lot of metal here. What was that piece that came out? Was that just my, that was my copper washer. I'll put that up there. Looked like something bigger than that, but that must have been it. Kind of just smells like oil. Doesn't smell like gasoline. The other thing I noticed when I was under here was that it looks like the CV joints might be fairly simple to bring off there. I can get all this oil off of me, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So there's the passenger side axle. That looks like it'd be pretty easy to pull off of there. This is quite a maze of stuff, but there's how the belt goes, if you didn't know that already. I have to pull off a few of these parts and get that. I definitely need a new belt, and I'll probably do whatever else is over here that I need, like a water pump. I'm sure there's a water pump maybe underneath this middle pulley there. This is the crank pulley. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on underneath the Lars today. So it looks like we got that oil almost drained out. Here's our oil filter, which it's an interesting way to do that, but we'll go with it, you know. That's what Volkswagen did. Put a little plastic piece down here in the bottom so that if you hit the curb or something before the, because this is before the wheels, if you hit something low, take out all your oil. That's what we want to do. We don't need any oil to run this engine. Anyway, that's always kind of looked odd to me when I first started working on this thing. I think the transmission pan is just a little bit lower than the oil pan. By looking straight across there, you might be able to see that. This is the transmission filter and fluid. So there is a Allen in here. It could be a Torx, but none of the metric stuff fit in here. Torx 45 didn't fit. Torx 40 was too loose. So anyway, I'm using the wrench, and it was really tight. I'm assuming it needs to be tight because of the, I think it's a paper filter in there. But once again, still a lot of background noise. Sorry, got some roofers next door, but wanted to try to get some of this stuff done before we moved on to the next day. Little at a time. Okay, we're getting closer. Let's see the oil coming. There we go. Yeah, it kind of looks like it was supposed to be a Torx, but it looks like it's pretty much just not very good. Yeah, it looks like it needed to be changed. A little paper filter, so we'll have to get a paper filter for it. We'll let that drip for a while and clean it up.